Welcome to another edition of In Motion TV. With me I have Professor Terry Haines. Professor, welcome.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Look, today we're talking about the PRF and the Physiotherapy Research Foundation, but before we get into that, can you tell us a little bit about your background in research and your academic career?
My background in research really came about from my clinical practice as a rehabilitation physiotherapist, working in an aged care facility and a rehab centre as well. A number of my patients fell over during their stay in hospital, during their rehabilitation, and I wanted to make sure that that stopped happening so that they could get home and get back to living their lives as actively as they could. So a lot of my early research was based on trying to help older people not fall over in hospital so they could have a safe stay. And since that time, my research has grown to a whole range of different areas, a whole lot of fun different areas which are really exciting to have a look at.
Look, I think many people do know your background, but tell us a little bit about your involvement in the foundation itself.
The PRF has been a great way for me to try and give back a little bit of my expertise to the physiotherapy profession. I've been the chair of the Physiotherapy Research Foundation now since back in 2012, or the Grant Review Committee I should say, of the PRF. And I've been involved in trying to organise the reviews of grants that have been submitted for seeding funding and also TAG grants across the country now for several years, and we've given away many grants which have hopefully been able to improve the physiotherapy profession, improve the evidence base, and really give a kickstart to the careers of a lot of young researchers out there, researching clinicians, so that they can make a long-term contribution to the profession through research.
And the importance of research, particularly for the physiotherapy profession, why is it so important?
Well, it doesn't have to be important. If we want to do things which aren't evidence-based, if we want to do things which aren't going to give benefit to our patients, then we can just ignore the evidence. But if you want to give treatments that are effective and know that they're effective and be able to look your patient in the eye and say, hey, there is strong evidence to say that this is a great thing for you to be doing, to get engaged with, and for me to be helping you to do that, then that's why research is so vital. It gives the evidence base to make sure that our profession is standing on two firm feet, a strong footing, to be able to tell people that we are doing the right thing by them, that we are giving them good interventions with a strong rationale and a strong evidence base behind it.
Yeah, I think that's spot on, particularly in a very competitive landscape as health is at the moment. Speaking of competition, strains for researchers, obviously funding is a key one. What are the key things and in terms of funding research, funding research and the other strains for researchers as they go forward?
For researchers, the strains tend to change over time. As an early career researcher, really it's finding time to do your research, because quite often you're juggling doing your clinical work and your research at the same time, trying to make sure that you can do both things at once. So being able to get a bit of time away from the clinical work to be able to focus on your research can just be so important to help people to get those first few papers out there, to get that PhD degree or the master's research degree, and to really get the ball rolling in their research career. Now, of course, the funding, it just keeps popping its head up as being an issue for researchers. We have to publish or perish, so we've got to show that we're making a good use of the resources we've been given through our research funds and making a big impact to say that we're actually making a difference out there. We're not just doing research which is sitting on the shelf gathering dust. It's actually getting out there, changing practice, changing lives, and improving the community's health. So it's got to be important, it's got to make a difference.
Okay. Now, specifically on the PRF, the foundation, tell us a little bit about perhaps people that have gone before us and have really gone on to great things, and what the PRF is looking at now from a grants review point of view.
So as I mentioned, the PRF grants have been great in kickstarting the careers of a number of people. A great example was Professor Carolyn Richardson. She did a lot of her early work looking at core stabilisation of the lumbar spine, and a lot of this field of research has had a dramatic impact on the physiotherapy profession. So not only has it changed the profession, but it also gave a real kickstart to her career, where she's been able to go on and continue to make contribution after contribution over a decade-long career since getting her PRF grants and doing this work year after year, building and building a bigger body of research to help inform physiotherapy practice for the future.
Okay, and current activity within the in the grants review committee?
At the moment, we're reviewing the project seed funding grants. We had over 50 applications this year, which shows a great level of interest in the physiotherapy community in Australia. When I first started with the PRF, we'd get about 15 to 20 applications, but now that interest has really skyrocketed and we're getting some really high quality applications coming. So it's a really good sign for the physiotherapy profession that we're getting a lot of interest and that we're getting a lot of high quality applications coming into the PRF. So at the moment we're trying to find some reviewers for those grants. Our PRF grant review committee has each been allocated those grants and they've got the job of being able to rank 53 grants in order from most worthy of funding to the least. So there's a lot of work for us to do, but gee, it's really exciting times if we've got 53 applications coming in, really strong applications. The physiotherapy profession is going to be headed in the right direction.
No, I think so as well. Opportunities and challenges for the PRF where you sit, what are your take on that?
Well, certainly with such a volume of applications and such a large amount of interest coming into the PRF for the funding that we have on offer, we've got to manage that well. We've expanded the size of the PRF Grant Review Committee, so we've taken on some new additional members this year, and they'll be working diligently over the next few weeks to be able to get those grant reviews done and sent in. Other opportunities, so really, it is sometimes disheartening for the PRF committee members that we have to say no to people. It's always hard. Obviously, you can see that there's a number of projects which are really worthy, they're really worthwhile and could really kickstart someone's career, and we'd love to give everyone funding who fits into that category, but the reality is we just can't do that. So I guess that's one of the frustrations of being on the PRF, is that we see so much potential, but we're limited in our scope of how far we can go to support all that potential.
Okay, and probably a final question or comment, if you like. Why should APA members get involved or contribute to the Physiotherapy Research Foundation?
So the Physio Research Foundation is limited by how much revenue it gains from its investments, of the corpus of the money in the PRF, and also the amount of donations it receives each year on year to support research to advance the physiotherapy profession. So if members are interested in advancing their profession, not just this year or next year, but for decades to come, so that physiotherapy is a key fixture in the healthcare landscape for years to come, then we need to make an investment in our research to drive our profession so that we can continue to have a stronger and stronger evidence base to be able to lobby politicians and policymakers to be able to support physiotherapy activities. And if we've got a strong evidence base, then we'll have strong arguments to put to those decision makers to be able to support us as a profession.
Great. As many of you know, the PRF is 25 years young. For more information on the PRF, feel free to visit the website physiotherapy.asn.au/PRF. Terry, thanks for joining us today on In Motion TV.
Chris.
And if you have any questions, feel free to email Terry or myself, and the emails are on the bottom of the screen. Take care.
See you later.